Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, guests, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TV Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC Vegas 73. Mackenzie Dern taking on Angela Hill in your strawweight main event to see which one of these ladies can remain hunting for a title shot. Crazy. I mean, this card is certainly an interesting one to say the least. A few landmines that we're looking to avoid, a few spots we're looking to cash in on. But to do that, we got to introduce our guest, Just Win Baby, on Twitter. Make sure you check out his Patreon, third party tracked. I mean, he's got like at least, I believe, 5 years in a row of winning record, right, my man? Like you've been killing it.
it's
Somebody that's just
disgusting.
been somebody super profitable in this space. Somebody I really respect out here on Twitter, putting fools in their place and taking no shit. What's going on, Rich?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me on the show, man. I see you guys are on the rise. I don't do podcasts that often. I just do mine with Liam on a Thursday. But yeah, I stayed up to 1 a.m. to do this. Made a sacrifice, but I think it's going to be worth it.
I really hope so, man, and we really appreciate that. Hanging out over where are you at right now, by the way, my friend?
I'm right next door to Leon Edwards. I'm by Birmingham.
Hey,
Love it.
There we go.
Say what up to the champ for us.
And hell yeah, Daz, Rich is a legend. So to have him on the show today to help us on our way, UFC Vegas 73, our best bets. The first thing before we kick off, just throw us a little like on the show. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys are following Liam Picks Fights and Just Win, baby, because they're putting out amazing content, like he said, every Thursday. So, I mean, without further ado, though, what did we all come here for, boys? We got our strawweight. Oh, God, it's not a future battle. This is a strawweight main event. Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. This one got taken from last week's card. They said, no, this isn't going to be the fourth fight on UFC Charlotte. We need to replace Raquel Pennington versus TBD with Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Overkill Hill. Yeah, so
I think I saw a stat that said like 13 of 26 main events that have been scheduled for this year have like already been canceled or switched around. I mean, it has been like an absolutely wild year. They just did it like 2 weeks ago with Ricky Simone. So crazy that they're doing it again just like that.
And here we go. I mean, we got Mackenzie Dern, the multilingual expert at minus 170 versus Angela Overkill Hill, the elbow queen at plus 145. The over 4.5 minus 150, under 4.5 plus 120. I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting that Mackenzie Dern has a better pace at distance than Angela Hill. I thought that was a little interesting just looking at the stats on paper. But at the end of the day, at least from a technical standpoint, I mean, Angela Hill should be safe on the stand-up on the feet. I don't think she has any real finishing equity. For someone in Dern that faced Yan Xiaonan, Marina Rodriguez, I don't think Angela Hill really presents those same type of issues from distance, and especially from a size standpoint too. So I do think Dern should be relatively, safe from a knockout perspective on the feet defensively. She's got a pretty good chin, but it's going to be tough for her to drag this fight to the mat, I think. It's not going to be just, I'm going to go for one double leg and get Angie down. I think Hill has shown at least somewhat improved initial takedown defense. But as we keep on seeing over and over, I mean, the Jandiroba fight just back, against Tisha Torres, she's struggling a bit as she goes for her own offensive takedowns. She goes for a takedown against Vina Jandiroba. It's Angela Hill, I think, has progressed her game to an all-around standpoint, but I think it puts her in danger too often still against dangerous grapplers. Vina Jandiroba proves it, has her in a deep armbar at a point, has her back, has her in that knee bar in the first round. Angie's grimacing. So if I trusted Angie to stay out of danger more often, I would take the dog shot here. But Dern, I just get one of those feelings. It might not be an actual takedown. She might have to pull guard. She might be scooting her butt along the mat the way she did against Jan. But I don't really have the best feeling or bet on this fight. And if it was UFC Charlotte, with this being the fourth fight on the main card, I probably wouldn't be tipping a pick. But Dern by sub, that's kind of where I lean as far as this goes. Are we going to get a good enough number? What do you think, Guru?
I feel like, I mean, if you look at the line on Dern by sub, I mean, they're kind of hip to it at plus 175 on DraftKings. It's just, it doesn't really titillate me enough for somebody in Mackenzie Dern who hasn't gotten that submission since she subbed Nina Nunes, and wasn't that her first fight back from pregnancy? So,
Yeah.
she hasn't had a sub in a long time. She didn't sub Virna Jandiroba. She did win that fight by decision. She's a better striker than Virna. Round one arm bars versus Random Marcos and Handa Cyphers. I just feel like, yes, the ways that generally Angie has been finished, she has lost by sub. And you could say, yes, it was to Random Marcos in 2019 would be her most recent one. But do you know how many fights Angela Hill has had since 2019? It's fucking
There it is.
astronomical. Like
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights since 2019.
Yeah, just really, really weird stuff. I'm not sure why that fight with Random Marcos is in green. I believe that's a loss.
Oh, God.
So we'll fix that. But either way, she gets subbed in round one via armbar. So that is interesting. If you have one of those books that lets you bet the specific sub, betting an armbar would certainly be a nifty way to do it. Realistically, though, for me, I'm going to take a little bit of narrative with this fight. Mackenzie Dern dealing with a very dirty divorce right now. She just was talking about it with James Lynch. I've heard time and time and time again, if a fighter's life is not good outside of the cage, they're not generally going to have the best performance inside of the cage. I'm not even necessarily saying that Mackenzie Dern won't win, but to get a sub here versus Angela Hill in the main event is certainly, to me, would be a huge overperformance. I think it puts her, literally maybe one fight away from a title shot. So while Angela Hill sometimes does have low fight IQ, which is why I can't take the dog shot on her here to get it done, I kind of feel like the fight going the distance at minus 135 is a fair number. That's like 57%. You're telling me that 60% of the time, 62% of the time, like these strawweights are not going the distance? Like I'm not convinced. So I actually see a little bit of value there. So I'm thinking about taking maybe a unit on that. But, let's wait till weigh-ins. I don't have to commit to anything right now. The pick is Dern, but I don't feel the need to firmly entrench my side in it. But you know what? I haven't heard what Just Win, baby, Mr. Rich has to say yet. So, maybe he'll tip my pocket some way or the other.
Yeah, I think this one's quite simple, man. I think that Dern is going to sub it, and I think it's going to be early. If this had been the 3-rounder a while back, whenever it was first booked, I would have stayed away. But the UFC are doing this for a reason. They're making it a 5-rounder, and they're moving it to the apex, the smaller cage. They're doing that to help one person. It doesn't help Angela out. And then to boot, I just found out that Dern's got a new manager, and I'm 80% sure it's Ali Sleaze. I can't pronounce his surname. And he's in bed with the UFC, man. Whenever his fighters are fighting, they get the layups. They get the easy route. Just look at Paulo Costa. He's fighting that new guy who just won by KO against Phil Hurst.
I don't know if I like that fight for Paulo, actually. That's crazy.
It's a weird one. It's not a foregone conclusion for Paulo, definitely, especially with his time off. So, yeah, just by the narratives alone, I'm on the Dern side. I didn't know it got up to plus 180, the submission. I thought it was at 150, so I might still be playing that. And yeah, it's purely from a narrative standpoint that I'm interested in Dern on this one. I did put a tweet out earlier in the week saying that Hill had a takedown defense of 77%, which is obviously impressive. And Dern's takedown accuracy was 11%. So if you're a numbers guy and you like those, obviously you're going to favor Hill and say she's going to keep it standing and win the decision. Because if someone is winning the decision, it's likely to be her. But it's just not happening, man. This is a setup from the UFC. Like I said, it's an Ali Sleaze job, and Dern's going to get the submission, in my opinion.
I like it.
Obviously I made my little case for the fight going the distance, but I there's no way I could lie and say I don't like it and don't see the path for it.
How much of a sweat would that be, man? Fight goes the distance and you got to sweat that out for 25 minutes every time there's a takedown. Oh, and Dern, by the way, when she fought Yan Zonan, she took her down in every round. The only problem is it was near the end of the round, so she wasn't able to
Yeah.
capitalize. And you know, I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think
it.
Angie's stupid enough to stay in clinch positions where Dern can drop down for a leg at any moment and get into those grappling sequences. We saw it against Fina. Why not again?
She says she knows Hill as well, so I think they've trained together before. So Dern seems to think she's got a number.
I like that.
But I don't like the noise outside of the cage. I did see a clip of her interview Dern. You know, she's talking all kinds of head case stuff about divorces and wanting to stand and strike, and she's changed her manager. That could be good, bad. I don't know. I just go and I'm not overthinking it.
Yeah, I like that. And honestly, it's definitely not the best bet of the card here. Like we said, if this was UFC Charlotte, still 3-round fight, just a regular placement on the main card, you know, so I don't want to make it a big play just because it's the main event this week. So I think we did our piece. Dern by sub, and Guru going for a little cheeky goes the distance here.
I'm thinking about it.
I don't hate it.
Yet.
All right, so here we go. We're on to the next fight here. Got Edmund Shabazian versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Does Edmund have any cool nickname at this point, or what was he like, the chosen?
He's
one
the
or something?
golden. He's the
golden boy. Oh God, he's kind of bronze at this point. I'd say the luster is kind of worn off.
Oof.
So you know, I mean, it is what it is. But what I will give him credit for, you know, so Edmund Shabazian plus 195, Hernandez minus 230, over 1.5 minus 150, the under 1.5 at plus 120. I think the line's kind of accurate from the standpoint that Shabazian kind of has, it's like 2-1 in favor of Anthony Hernandez. If this fight gets to round 2/round 3, I think we're looking good. If this fight ends in round 1, in that, you know, 33% chance there, yeah, I mean, Edmund Shabazian is probably the guy with the round 1 finish on the record here if this fight were to end in the first round. The body shots, not the chin. I think the chin of Anthony Hernandez is pretty solid, but the body, you know, is he fully retooled from those times where Marcus Maluka Perez hurts him to the body and then gets a submission finish? Kevin Holland in the first 30 seconds of the fight, first clinch knee, lands. I mean, I guess it's to the liver, but at the same time, I mean, you generally could withstand the first strike, you know, if you're in the proper shape and, you know, can withstand body shots like that. But so the question comes, if Edmund Shabazian, who I've seen plenty of body kicks, teeps, he throws some good liver shots with the boxing. So it's not like that's not in his, you know, not in his repertoire here. So Shabazian round 1 is pretty live, but I ultimately have to pick Fluffy officially as the pick here. If there's a round 2/round 3 finish option, I'll be looking to play that as well. And even a Fluffy like round 3 sub, I think Shabazian still hasn't proven to me that he's got cardio if someone can truly push a pace on him. And Dalcha Lungiambula in his last fight, shooting for 4 takedowns from 5 miles away and trying to rely on brute strength. It's just not, it's Dalcha Lungiambula. And even on the commentary, they go, oh, look, Shabazian's really improved his defense so far. And then, like, I think Dominic Cruz goes like, yeah, but it's like Dalcha, not Derek Brunson. So, yeah, ultimately, my pick here is Fluffy. I think he has shown that he's put in a bit more of the cardio work, and I can trust him to take a few shots here in the first round and bring it on home. Oh man,
yeah. I think,
looking like, do I got a little fluffy to me?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. All right,
a little bit. He's got a little bit more of that Chicano in him, and you do not.
Yo hablo español. Yo trabajo muchos años en el restaurante. Yo tengo un poco de Chicano adentro.
Jeez Louise, getting bilingual up in here. This fight's super interesting because Edmund Shabazian, a guy that really doesn't get to fight very often, right? We haven't really seen that much of him since he was getting pulverized by Derek Brunson and Jack Hermanson. And realistically, being there live, I still cannot get the elbows from crucifix from Mr. Nasruddin Imavov out of my head. Like, that was just an absolutely brutal beatdown. And the way the guy's cardio, just fell off a cliff completely. And then watching Nasruddin get completely exposed by Sean Strickland, it's like, woof. Like, where is Edmund Shabazian actually at? And fighting somebody like Fluffy Hernandez maybe will show us. But, I'm just not even necessarily that impressed with Hernandez's wins. That being said, I am very impressed with his submission win over Rodolfo Vieira, submitting the black belt hunter. But, that guy gassed out. And he outlasted him. Josh Frem, I don't care how many times you beat Dumas the dumbass. Like, I'm still not impressed with you. And Marc-Andre Barriott, the power bar, had no power in that fight. He had no cardio. And again, like, shout out Anthony Hernandez. I mean, he took it to him with landing 8 of 14 takedowns and getting whatever 5 minutes of top control there. I mean, it was impressive fight for him. But probably by far the best win of his career. I just I kind of just think the fact that either guy can get the finish here makes me not necessarily want to lay the heavy chalk on Fluffy. So I kind of rather lay the chalk the other way. Call me crazy. I think I'm going to go with the fight doesn't go the distance. I'm going to parlay that to another violent spot I have later on the card. And Rich is going to tell me if that was stupid or not. So what do you think about that?
I don't mind it, man. It seems like you're in good company. That line's kind of crashed today for Edmund. It seems like he's trending towards plus 160 on Bet Online. So yeah, it looks like it's trending that way, man. People are bringing the money in. I think originally I liked Edmund when I first looked at the cards, but I'm staying away from this fight. It's pretty much everything you've said. Hernandez should sub him late. He's going to pressure him. He's going to stay in his face. It's kind of going to negate the boxing because I think Hernandez, he's got good game plans. He's going to stick to him like glue. And it's all going to be about how Edmund can react to that. He does have some good jiu-jitsu. In his early days, he was doing tournaments and whatnot. So, yeah, it's all up to Edmund and how he can react, man. Is this Edmund 2.0? Since he changed camps and come back, Doucher doesn't tell us shit because Doucher is shit. So this one will tell us where Edmund is at. But yeah, like I say, you're in good company, man. It seems like everyone's taking a shot on Edmund. So we'll see. But I don't want no part of it. I just can't trust him, man.
You can't trust him. And that's why, I mean, other than like if you just a degenerate, you need to have a shot on everything. Little grandma's couch cushion. You're digging under the couch cushion. It's not a track unit. Nobody will notice that little play is missing. But
yeah,
if that's what you need to have here, I understand it. But he has done nothing to have that dog in him that makes you think that he might pull it out the mud here. And then Anthony Hernandez, as a decent fighter as he is, winning as a sizable favorite in the same range against Marc-Andre Barriott last time out. I honestly, it was a dumb pick of mine, but I played Barriott last time too. I'm like, I don't necessarily see the value in Hernandez, and he looked great last fight, but maybe he'll do the same thing here. But I'm not going to make the mistake I did last time of playing Barriott. I'm not going to play Shabazian. I think I'm just going to take a violent spot and hold off for now.
Listen, take a trip down to Grandma's. You got Edmund round 1 knockout plus 750. Hernandez round 2 sub plus 600. Round 3 sub plus 1200. If you're going to take some crazy flyers.
It definitely makes sense. It's definitely a dog or pass situation. If you're betting Hernandez at minus 250, minus 225, you need your head looking at it. That's just stupid. He can be flaky, man. We've seen it before in fights. Even the Josh Fremd fight, it was a back and forth until it wasn't. So yeah, it's all on Edmund. Let's see if he's for real.
Amen. And
I appreciate. Any final thoughts? I'm taking that. Yeah. Please.
No. I was saying, any final thoughts there? You seem like you have.
Oh no, for me, I just want to make sure I'm gonna again. So fight doesn't go the distance is the first leg of that violence parlay. We're gonna get to a little bit of plus money, and I'm gonna make sure Rich likes the other leg. So Rich says he likes this one, so that's a good start. I like it.
All right, on we go. We got a catch weight featured bout here. We got Emily Gordinha, right? Ducote versus Lupi Godinez, but she's listed as Lupi on UFC stats. So, like, is that really the nickname, or is that just her name at this point? What's the verdict, Guru?
Her nickname is certainly Lupi. Her real name is Maria Lapita, but she basically she's Lupi, so it's Lupi's her nickname. Lupi's her name. It's what I mean. She just kind of goes by it. So
fair enough. Well, the real question here is, what's Lupi doing back in the cage so soon after the sketchiest of split decision losses to Cynthia Calvillo? And what's she doing as a minus 155 favorite? So hold on. I'm gonna pass the baton here. Just win, baby. I think that this one's for you, my friend. Why don't you get us started on this fight, Rich?
Yeah, I guess it has to be, considering I got my biggest bet this week on her. I've maxed better. I've got her in the distance. I got her by submission. And yeah, I'm really confident that Loopy dies in this fight. At the very least, it's going to be a decision for my girl. I think that Loopy lost that fight to Cynthia. Her face was marked up. I think Cynthia should have got the split decision, which is crazy to say because Cynthia's shit in boxing. We've seen that in her last few fights. She hasn't got hands, man, and she was able to do that to Loopy. Dakota's going to smash her. People forget Dakota's a wrestler at heart. If you knew her before the UFC and you watched her in Bellator against people like McFarlane, she got beat in those fights, but they were 5-rounders and she held her own, man. She had top position in those fights. We'll say no more, man. She held her own in them fights with McFarlane, which is a big feather in a cap, in my opinion. She's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like you said, Loopy's taking this on short notice. She was on vacation like 2 weeks ago. Go check her Instagram. Her interview with James Lynch was a bit alarming as well. She reckons she's got the perfect game plan. My answer to that is, yeah, you might think you have until you get punched in the face. Then we'll see what happens. I love the number. Yeah, not a fan of Loopy. Look at the people she's beat, man. They're not that great. The last time she took a short notice fight was against Carolina, and she lost that one. She's asked for the catch weight because she's a little bit tubby, probably from them cocktails on the beach. So yeah, I love my bet. It's going to cash. I'm going to look like a genius. It's going to be great.
Mega Mind in the flesh, baby. Listen, I don't hate it at all. You know, I don't love chalk here on Loopy. I still don't trust Loopy from her shitty Angela Hill fight. Honestly, I'm burned on both of these fighters, betting both of them against Angela Hill. So that should let you know how I feel about the main event. If we didn't already, you know, if you missed the top 10 minutes there. But you know, in this fight, you know, I like Dakota to come out and get it done, to rebound. I don't like anything short notice, especially when you sipping drinks on a beach. Loopy's needs to be the more physical fighter, needs to make this fight dirty and close. And you watch Dakota's movement versus, I mean, albeit Jessica Penne. I mean, you could watch her other fights. She's got really good footwork and movement. For somebody that, like you said, has a more of a background in wrestling. So, you know, she has a good job of using her distance management, of using her physical tools. And she's the little bit slightly longer fighter than Loopy. So,
do you know what? Loopy's got
Sure.
two choices in this fight. She can wrestle early and try and gas herself out and get beat up in round 2 or 3, or she can stand early and get knocked out early. She's got two choices. Either way, she's taking the L. Guess who's been training with Hill and Penny in San Francisco? Ducati.
Oh, damn. Love
Let's
it.
go. Yeah, and it's pretty great, man.
To me, at the very least, listen. Let's put it simply as this, and if you fellas don't agree, you let me know. At the very fucking least, it's a coin flip pick'em fight. Give me the dog.
Yeah, I just think that Ducote's boxing is much cleaner. I think Loopy has this unspoken like promise that, oh, she's gonna start like knocking people up. We've actually seen Ducote finish about triple the amount of people that Loopy's finished in her career, and seeing that finishing ability not come to fruition yet against, like, you know, Jessica Penne, who had been on, you know, at least a solid rebound up to that point, but Ducote like could have finished her with those leg kicks, first of all. And I don't think Loopy presents anything in the kicking department the same way that Ducote does. So I think Loopy is kind of a one-level striker, and then, you know, needs volume takedowns to be successful, whereas Ducote can be successful kind of at any level. So yeah, I got a couple of units out on Ducote myself. Not quite as in deep as our boy Just Win Baby out here, but we had to be riding that train too. So we're rocking and rolling. Any final thoughts on this one, my fellas?
I'd say it would be a pick-em if Loopy was on a full camp. But you add in the tangibles of her like on vacation, short notice, asking for the catch weight. They're just not good signs, man. I think recency bias, this is like textbook recency bias. You go look at Ducati, she gets like, she checks out in the Angela Hill fight. I think part of that was it's her friend. And just Angela did better on the feet, more experience than that. It's a bad look. It was just a bad fight for her stylistically. So I think that this is pure recency bias. Styles make fights. Now she's got a fight where she can shine and show off range of skills. She's going to eat up the leg with the calf kick. She's got power. Look at the regional scene. Zappaleta caught her, busted her open. Fight ended. I can't remember the black girl's name that she beat. Taylor, is
Danielle Taylor. Yep.
Look at that.
I mean, that was ice cold.
Yeah, I'm confident.
I love it. Love it. So let's keep this train rolling, boys. Let's keep that money train
Love
rolling.
it. Listen, I love a dog shot, man. Love a dog shot. Women's MMA when especially the physical attributes are going to be dead even. Like let's go.
All right. So now we got Andre Fialho. Versus
You gotta give him a nickname, TB. What the fuck? Let's go.
Andre the T-Rex Fialho. Versus
well done.
Versus Joaquin New Mansa Detroit Dusty Training Buckley. Yeah.
Detroit Darrow says.
Yeah. So the question here, Andre Fialho at plus 190 and Buckley at minus 225. Is Joaquin Buckley good cutting down to 170? Welterweight bout, first time in the UFC. He took kind of a short notice against Kevin Holland in his debut up at 185. Just kind of never worked his way back down again. And he never really had to cut too much weight. So I don't think he's even necessarily going to have too many problems on the scale. My issue is that this is someone that's still been knocked down 4 different times when he wasn't cutting a ton of weight. So Joaquin Buckley, if you get in the T-Rex's range, you might not live to tell the tale. But I do trust you to have the better overall game plan. You actually know how to wrestle. You actually throw kicks, which, I mean, Andre Fialho is allergic to anything below the shoulders down from striking standpoint. It's absolutely gross. If this was just Rock'em Sock'em Robots and you could throw Fialho within like 2 inches of space, I would give him a much more legitimate shot. I just think that Buckley, as long as he can weather a shot or two on the counter, he should be able to get in and out, use his wrestling to his advantage if he needs to. Fialho's gas tank ain't great. Fialho's chin ain't great. So at the end of the day, I'm on Joaquin Buckley. But in this economy, if you think you're putting minus 225 on Joaquin Buckley, then you're going to be as broke as I am. So,
Oh no, TB. Yeah, listen, Andre Fajardo's skill set's more one for bare knuckle boxing. Would love to see him fuck some people up in that. But realistically, it's clear as day. The dude is just a one-dimensional striker, and himself, he's got suspect takedown defense. So if I just had to leave you with that right there, you've got somebody with Joaquin Buckley. You look at these stats, it's not even close. The pace at distance, the minute landed at distance, the defense, the power in terms of knockdowns, it's all favoring Joaquin Buckley. And other than the Alessio Di Chirico knockout, you really can give him a pass getting finished by Kevin Holland and getting finished by Chris Curtis. I mean, the guys are studs. And they're legit. I mean, I met Kevin Holland. Dude is huge. I don't know how he makes, we went 170. I mean, he's skinny as fuck, honestly. But like, it's just when you're Joaquin Buckley, man, and you're like all that muscle, man. I am interested to see how he looks cutting down another 15 pounds. Obviously, you have to draw when you're like 3% body fat. Like, what do you just reduce mass essentially? No, Tyler.
Ultimately, that's why he was kind of able to take some fights on quicker notice up at 185. I don't think he was cutting as much up there.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. But like, how does his body even make 170 when you're at? If you look at him, he's 3. It didn't matter if he's 185 or not. I mean, the dude is like 3% body fat.
I mean, these guys know how to water load and you cut and dehydrate yourself to kind of a dangerous level, along with diet and the proper weight camp. Training camp, that's how you cut a ridiculous amount of weight. Is it safe?
No,
I mean, long term, no. We've seen that.
No, of course. Well, listen, that we honestly, a whole different conversation would be the most dangerous part about cage fighting is the weight cutting. But we can have that podcast another day. But what I think is important to note here is, like you're saying, Joaquin Buckley minus 225 in this economy, when his 3 of his last 4 losses have been by knockout, is a tough pill to swallow. When Andre Fajalio, his only path to victory is a knockout. So you got to see Joaquin Buckley on the scale. All that being said, Andre Fajalio just got knocked out by Muslim Salikov and Jake Matthews. So that dude's chin is nowhere to be found. And I honestly think Joaquin Buckley's gonna take him to Touch Him Up University. I think he knocks him the fuck out. Let's just be clear. But what I'm doing is I'm gonna take the safe route. I hope I'm parlaying this fight. Fight does not go the distance with the co-main event, like I had suggested earlier, to get us to plus 110. Rich is going to tell me if he likes it, and yeah, let's go some violence. But maybe this is the classic everybody thinks violence and it doesn't happen spot, like last week's Johnny Walker and Smith fight. So, what do you think, bud?
It's funny you say that because I think people are going to be disappointed, and I think it's going to be like the Johnny Walker fight, to be honest. I think Buckley's going to add in wrestling. I think he's going to be tentative because of what's coming back at him for a start, but also because he's at a new weight class. So I like the plus 300 for Joaquin to get it done by decision. But I'm not betting it. This was the only fight I didn't like. I haven't got any rhyme or reason apart from that.
I love it. I actually love. Not only do I love it, I'm gonna find a different leg, because I always do that shit. I always smell the one that doesn't do it. I'm like I'm really good at it. So and Joaquin, and you're right. And that was the one thing I wanted to mention that I didn't, and I'm glad you did. Even let's say that they're even on the feet, which they're not, because the pace from Joaquin Buckley and the distance, the defense from Joaquin Buckley is better. So let's just say they're even on the feet. Joaquin Buckley is the only one willing to use wrestling. Takedown efficiency, none available for Andre Fajalio because he hasn't attempted a takedown. Joaquin Buckley, absolutely, if he gets into trouble or if he feels in the movement that it's a great time to level change, he will and can. So to that point, I really do think Joaquin Buckley, maybe at this economy, you might have to just play him. I don't know. No, I may have talked myself into it. I don't know.
Another interesting thing to note is with Filio coming back off that KO, he's going to be tentative as well. You know, he's not going to want to put himself out there. So this could look like Lewis and Ngannou, where they just stare at each other for like 3 rounds, Buckley does a tiny bit more, a couple more leg kicks to win the rounds, and it's some boring ass decision. I could see that.
So, question about pace. Do you think higher pace is better? Because when I see them talking about measured and thoughtful, like last week, I wonder if it's advantage or no. Merci. So I think ultimately you do have to take some experience into account, Amber. I think if you're seeing a younger fighter and their pace is like above 20 strikes attempted per minute at distance, yeah, I mean, that's probably a recipe for them getting caught with the counter at some point. But I think if you're looking at some guys that, like Joaquin Buckley, he's got plenty of fight time. Look at that, like about 10 fights now. So you can kind of take into account like a guy that's throwing 14 strikes per minute at distance, whereas Fialho, I mean, he's only throwing 9, and he's kind of waiting, doesn't have quite the same range.
He's landing 3 and absorbing 5.3. Yeah. Like, it's not easy. He's absorbing more than 2 strikes per distance per minute than he is throwing. And even Joaquin Buckley, who still has the knockouts on his record, is at least landing almost twice as many as he's absorbing. That's at least what you want to see when you have, a decent sample size. Fajalio has had 5 fights in the UFC. We know how he fights. That's a legit sample size. Yeah. So, that's what he does. He's a low volume, counter striker who needs to knock your brick off to fucking win. And I think Joaquin Buckley is going to be faster than him and stronger than him and have more ways to win than him as long as he's got a good weight cut. So I may have talked myself into some chalk.
Oh, God. Last time that Joaquin Buckley made 170 was in 2018 in Bellator against Logan Storley, where he lost a unanimous decision, and he weighed in at 168.3. So, I mean, seems like it's pretty doable. That's not too long ago. He's not that big of a guy. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate you. So, any final thoughts on that one before we move along?
Yeah, I've got my YouTube up and I've just seen on the side videos, Filio in his interview. The headline is Joaquin Buckley, not very smart when fighting, low IQ, which is just ironic because he's going to show good IQ and take him down. So the irony of it.
That is pretty funny.
Neither of them have very high. I wouldn't put either of them in the high fight IQ category. I don't think you're gonna see them next to DC and DC breaking down fights anytime soon.
I'll say Joaquin Buckley got smoked by Kevin Holland, but his over almost full 3 rounds, but he's still got a 59% defense. Like Fialho, Joaquin Buckley might not be the smartest, but actually he's like we've all said.
I actually don't think that the in this economy is gonna apply to Joaquin Buckley as long as he's got a good weight cut. For real. Like I actually think that might be a really good play.
Yeah, he won a decision over Alisson. So there's something to be said for that.
And use some of that wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling could look the same.
I love it. All right.
Guys, listen, if you're somehow not following our guy Rich, give him a follow. Just Win Baby on Twitter. Check out his Patreon.
Hell yeah. Come on.
I mean,
listen to all this fire he's dropping over here.
Yeah, listen and give us send that around if you haven't already. Share that.
Send it to your grandma. That's what's up.
Send it to your grandma.
So here we go. We got Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Michael Johnson. Michael, does he have a nickname? Does he have an official? I don't see it on here, Guru. I'm lost. I wasn't ready. I thought he was gonna have a real nickname.
Wow, I'm sorry. He does. He is Michael,
the Menace.
The Menace.
Dennis the Menace. Michael Johnson.
What's Diego Ferreira's nickname?
Well, he's Carlos Diego Ferreira. So.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a nickname.
Go Diego, go Diego. Fuck it, man. We're going Dora the Explorer over here. I've been exploring this fight all week.
You've been Dora the Exploring this fight all week?
Yeah, you like that transition? Yeah, unlike Mackenzie Dern, just when his accent is real. Hell yeah, bro. Let's go. So
that's funny.
That's pretty good. We gotta love Mushroom. So Diego out here, the things that I found interesting looking into this fight. I mean, generally you see Michael Johnson against anybody with any submission competency, and it's like auto fade. However, things got a little sketchy as I first started digging into things. Understanding, oh God, like Feta, kind of like verbal submission to knee to the body in his last fight. Diego owning a gym. Michael Johnson on a bit of a nice run here recently. But then I dig a little bit deeper, and I'm like, well, wait a second. Diego's got better pace. Diego's finally facing someone that's not going to be actively throwing 10 takedowns per 15 minutes at him. Diego's the guy in this fight that's going to be throwing kicks, 1 to the legs and 2 to the body to kind of maintain his distance. I think Diego is the stick and move guy, where Michael Johnson's a bit of a sit down and wait to counter with the big left. He throws the jab, but he doesn't follow it up enough. And I think you see even in the pace, Diego's got the better pace here. Diego's got the slightly less strikes absorbed per minute. The defense not quite as good. His accuracy not quite as good, but I think he makes up for it in work rate. I think he makes up for it in general with the danger of his grappling. I don't think his takedown game is that great. I'm not proclaiming him to go out there and put on Khabib game plan and smother Michael Johnson. I just think he's going to outvolume him on the feet due to the threat of the grappling. And kind of like Mackenzie Dern, if this fight ends up in the clinch, if it ends up against the fence and this turns into a sloppy back take given up by Michael Johnson, it's auto sub city. Michael Johnson just does not have that dog in him. You could make an argument for him beating Jamie Malarkey, perhaps. He still loses the fight. You can't make an argument for him even having a win against Guida. He loses a clear unanimous decision. He's piecing up Thiago Moises pretty nicely in round 1. Gives up immediate leg lock as soon as the guy dives on his leg. It's classic Michael Johnson, and he fights D1 Diakese. Diakese's shooting takedowns from a mile away, going for jumping knees over. He's like,
I don't know what his deal was. Yeah, he was like psyching himself up. Dude was like a complete jerk off. I don't know.
And then he thought he won the fight, but I mean,
that was the funniest. That was worth watching the whole shitty fight over again. Is watching him go. What? I lost to 30-27 on 3 scorecards. How the fuck did that happen?
Oh,
fucking jerk off. Unbelievable.
So anyways, Anyways, as TB would love to say, at the end of the day, I got to go Diego Ferreira here, and he's going to be like the one kind of like chalky guy where it's like, in retrospect, could he be just absolutely washing Michael Johnson
and
quick?
taking a check for his gym? He could be
Yeah.
just taking a check for his gym. Yeah, it could be done for him. But
TV,
when
do you think he makes weight?
oh god,
I'm not
certainly
sure,
hope so.
and if he doesn't make weight, I think it's almost an advantage for him too. To be quite frank, I could see him kind of using that to his advantage. Needs that double check for his gym instead of just a single check. You realize you get double the pay when you win, right? And if you're trying to support your gym out there in Texas and not have to travel to Fortis as much anymore and make your living teaching guys instead of, I do think
his
that
gym
Diego
is
is
fairly
dangerous.
successful at the moment.
Diego's dangerous, man. I think
I think
whether it's on
Diego's
the
really
feet,
dangerous.
whether it's on the feet or if it's in some sort of scramble, Diego is much more live for a finish than Michael Johnson. If you want to do like Michael Johnson, like decision only, if this fight goes to the cards and you think he's going to land the more impactful strikes, or like a Michael Johnson, like round one knockout, something like that. I understand, but like Michael Johnson's not knocking out Jamie Malarkey. I know he hurt him, but you got to finish that guy. Come on, Michael. Come on. Alan Patrick lasted way longer than he should have in that fight.
Right.
And Clay Guida is beating you by decision by outlanding you from distance. Diego can do it with his kicks. I got him.
Yeah, no, one of the best things that for at least for me personally about this fight, unfortunately, I can't recommend it as well because it's not available. But I was able to nail the -130 on Carlos Diego Ferreira. I was like, the line's way too close at that stage, and basically became unavailable at that number anywhere else. So I'm locked in at -130. I just think that Michael Johnson has a I mean, he's lost how many fights? But he's lost 9 fights by submission, and Diego Ferreira has won as many decisions as he won submissions with 7. So I mean, that's like a little MMA mathy, but I just feel like when you watch the tape, it does check out Michael Johnson, while being maybe one of the people's favorite fighters as knocking out Dustin Poirier, fighting Khabib, has just had great fights, had some good lore behind him. The dude has some of the worst fight IQ you could really ask for, and will make mistakes. And his nice little run ensures winning 2 out of 3 to again Mark DeCasey, who has absolutely no game plan, and then Alan Patrick, who is I don't even believe with the promotion any longer. So just very it's just tough, man. I what is interesting is Michael Johnson should maybe be the better athlete here, like in terms of just you'd like pure athletics, but when you watch the way Carlos Diego Ferreira scrambles with Gamrot, and you watch the way that he scrambles with Gillespie, like he's clearly a high level athlete of his own in his own right. I mean, the dude is absolutely elite and quick. I mean, he doesn't even necessarily again need the takedown. Michael Johnson could throw, make a mistake, throw himself out of position. So losing to Beneil Dariush, who should be fighting for the title, Gregor Gillespie, one of the best wrestlers in the division, although nobody knows where he is, and again Mateusz Gamrot, elite level grappler. I don't think that means that he's washed. I think he's just had. I don't think he has a Leo Delaziz as his fucking manager. I think whoever his manager is has got him fucked up right now, giving him those matchups. He's a grappler, and they're giving him the toughest grapplers in the world. So, yeah, let's hear what Rich has to say here. Rich, please.
I really don't want to say it, man, because I'm picking against you. I took Johnson by KO. I've just had a look at it's 375 now at one of the UK books, so I'm going to take it again. I think this is going to be about. All right. I think this is similar to the Mousasi situation the other night. He's one of my favorite fighters. I've got nostalgia about him. I remember the golden days, and I put a bet on him thinking those were still the days. He's shot, he's done. And I think Carlos is too. I think he's still injured. Michael's had 3 fights in the time that he's been off. I think Diego's still injured. He's going to miss weight and not in a good way. And he's going to lose the fight by KO. And it's purely everything you said about Michael's true. He can still be submitted. This isn't his run to the title. With the right matchup, he could definitely get subbed again. It's all on how I feel Carlos is per Instagram and, you know, the time off, etc. Man, I just don't think we're going to see the guy who was in there with Gillespie. Sorry to say.
Yeah, it's totally fair, and I think the proper thing to do is if it comes weigh-in day and we're like, oh shit, Rich is right.
Violence
Carlos.
could be good. I like fight doesn't go the distance. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, could be a second leg to that parlay, and you could be a little hedge opportunity with that knockout prop. You lay 1 to cover the 3 that we have out on our Diego at -130. So, listen, like we kind of talked about, I think we're good at breaking down these fights, and sometimes it's like there's the fork in the road. Is Michael Johnson going to be flatlining Diego due to the kind of shape he's coming into, or is Diego going to flash some of that old skill he's still got on the pen? So. It's a great question, and I can't hate the pick that you got. I think you backed it up with some good analysis.
I honestly think the small cage may even benefit Diego Ferreira here.
Ooh, didn't even consider that part of it.
Because Michael Johnson needs space to continue to work his jab and his punches to keep Diego off of him. Because
that's a good point. I hope. Well, I don't hope because I bet Johnson. But if Diego wants to win this, he's got to pressure and close that distance. If he stays at range, the time off is going to be a factor. You know, a little bit of ring rust. Use the small cage to your advantage and press, man. But I don't know. I just with all the time off, etc. I just can't trust that, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Certainly, and again, and respectfully to you, Rich, again, and at -155, I can't disagree with you. I got in at -130, and I always have to be honest to the audience and everybody about those types of things because I hate when people, I got this line and I'm the best about it. Like chill. So it's all good.
Yeah, I'm no wizard, man. I could be totally wrong, and I could eat my head. So you know,
such as win. Listen, as long as Ducati hits, you're all good, baby. That's exactly. Let's go. So hey,
I'm gonna put something nice down on that one.
Yeah, let's go. So here we go. We're on to our next fight here. Ooh, this one's gonna be saucy. We got Mahesh. We got Ayesar Maheshata. That's my best. That was my best impression of his first name. Ayesar, I think is the right. Not too shabby.
Yeah.
His name was difficult enough. I can't. My brain's broken. I can't do it.
I've been calling him China all week. His name's China to me.
Fair enough. Nice and easy.
Spell it, can't say
it. Then we got Slava Claus. We'll leave it at that. Vyacheslav Borshev. Much less exciting than Slava Claus. I'll tell you that. Slava's a bit older here. He's 8 years older. Going to be 1 inch shorter. Giving up 2.5 inches of reach. We got +145 on Maheshata and -170 on Slava. The over 1.5 at -140, under 1.5 at +110. So it's kind of like skimming through, and one of those auto spots that I have is when I've seen neither guy's been finished. They're both kind of relatively young. They both like doing the same type of thing. They're both strikers at heart here. I like this fight over. I like this fight. Starts round 3 at +100, over 1.5 -140. Hoping the fight goes the distance at +160, but if I stack it properly, if there's a late finish on either side, I could kind of weather the storm. But I think Slava's been wrestled enough to the point where you got to imagine he's a little bit tentative. And he's one of those guys that walks in, throws combos, and kind of sells out in that regard. But most of his opponents take the takedown approach. Not sure Maheshata really does that here. So it does make me a little sketched in that both these guys might be willing to get into a car crash. So haven't laid those yet specifically, but I think I'm kind of slowing down my own train here.
Yeah, I think you are onto something in that. I think the over 1.5 at -140 is fucking juicy because you look at these guys that at a 36% total finish rate and a 55% finish rate, while they're known for prolific finishes, don't actually finish that often, but they will lead each other into a car crash, I think, at some point, especially in a small cage. I just think they're actually both tough enough, like you're alluding to, that they haven't been knocked out before, either of them. So I actually think that that's a very, very good point. I think the over 1.5 -140 is golden. Mahashata is one of the worst distance strikers I've ever seen. His 20% accuracy, while you may think that that's a small sample size, no, it's fucking legit. You watch him on Dana White Contender Series, he goes 3 fucking rounds. He lands 29% at like 200 strikes. I mean, he is an inaccurate striker, man. There's major problems with his game. I just he's not even somebody that uses his size well, as you watch in his last fight with Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia looks like a pride fight. It looks like Rafa Garcia is 2 weight classes smaller than him. And it doesn't matter. Rafa Garcia kicks the shit out of him. Like it was bad.
First round was pretty close. First round.
Yeah, and then he gassed and he doesn't land enough strikes and he fights a bloody mess. Like the fight was a fun one, but Rafa Garcia, no doubt about it, takes the dub. Borshev is obviously Slavoklos is not going to look to grapple in that respect, but when you look at his pace, that could be a fucking problem, especially when Mahashata is maybe used to being the much bigger guy. And keep in mind, Mahashata is supposed to be so good. He was the underdog on Dana White Contender Series, and a barn burner fight. They both landed about the same amount of fights, same amount of strikes. I mean, very, very close fight. So he's not impressed by any means, and at 20% accuracy, he makes Clay Guida look like a sniper. So leaves me a lot to be desired. I really actually like the over 1.5, but I'm not sure I love stacking it. Rich, what do you think?
The 20% that you mentioned, is that based on the 2 UFC fights that he had?
Correct. And then in my mind, when you watch the Dana White and you look at the stats, UFCstats.com on the Dana White Contender Series fight, he landed a 15-minute decision, landed 29%. So I'm like, this is him. 3 fights.
That's interesting. If I didn't already have a big bet on Dakota, I would pretty much have the same amount of units on China here. I think that he wins by KO. I don't like Slava in this one. I think he's going to get found out, and I got a pretty in-depth breakdown, man. The fights that he's had, Slava, on the Dana White Contender Series, he fought Duncan. Duncan stalked him like an idiot, and he was able to counter him and flatline him. Bush, who he fought, gassed out after trying to take him down repeatedly, took the left to the liver, and, game over. China, whatever you want to say about him with the 20% or whatever, I like his footwork, and I think that's going to be the X factor in this fight. He darts in and out. His lateral movement's good. And in my opinion, he's got unlimited cardio. He can do that for 3 rounds. He never stops moving, man, if you go and watch the tape on him. I can forgive him for the Garcia fight because Garcia was on all the steroids under the sun in that one, and there was a takedown threat. There's going to be no takedown threat from Slava. It's purely going to be on the feet. Even China himself isn't going to initiate takedowns. Someone mentioned his cousin, that Shailan guy who's in the UFC. He's working with him. Back. Yeah, they expect takedowns. No, he's going to use that defensively. If it's just to improve his takedown defense, he's a striker, man. He's a bully. He uses his size. Hopefully, he comes in overweight. I'd like that because I think that's the difference between him and someone like Diego. He's young, coming in overweight, like Battle. 2 pounds ain't going to mean shit. But when you're 38 and Diego coming in overweight, it's kind of like the opposite way I see it. So yeah, I think the footwork's going to be the difference, and I can see an early KO, maybe round 2 KO from him. I don't think Slava's going to be able to find him. He's used to guys, pushing him and walking towards him and kind of giving him what he wants. If you go to the regional scene, he fought a guy called St. Louis. I don't know if you watched that fight. It was fucking nuts. For 4.5 minutes in the first round, he did exactly what Duncan did. He just pressed forward like an idiot, no footwork, and Slava was able to use him as a punch bag. But still, what happened? He got counter right, hit by St. Louis, and he would have got knocked out, man, if Lewis weren't an idiot and went for the choke and had it just finished with ground and pound. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with China here, man.
Yeah, I could even see Mahashata winning a decision here off of the bigger shots if Slava's chin decides to survive. And I think it's a good question. I ultimately don't have a great play on this fight, but I do lean towards a dogger pass, given that I think, Mahashata's numbers on paper there from a pace perspective, and he has the size, reach, age. Yeah, I think he's going to be improving more fight to fight than the 31-year-old that has a lot more extensive experience on the kickboxing scene.
Yeah,
That's all.
Thanks, Mushroom.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have my strongest fucking play really either way on any aspect of this fight.
Fair enough. Let's cook along,
So,
baby.
I have the same sentiments here.
Oh, no. Well, I've got best bet at least 500 units on this fight. I don't know about you.
How many farms? Shout out Ben the Bane Davis. How many farms is that?
Man. All right. So here we go. We got Karolina Crybaby Kovalkiewicz versus Vanessa Stripper Guard Demopoulos.
I like it.
Solid job, right? The Crybaby would be spelled with a K also.
You're forgetting Little Monster.
Little Monster? I don't know. I mean, it's all right. Stripper Guard is more fun. So Karolina, 37. And it's kind of funny. The Vanessa Demopoulos, 34. It's not like she's that much younger than Karolina. Karolina is going to be 1 inch taller. She's going to have 4.5 inch reach advantage, 4-inch leg reach. She's got better pace at distance. Karolina, has kind of showed some improved wrestling, improved like grit and grind to her game more recently. I just, you see her against Jessica Penne trying to impose that approach, and it ends up, submission. I don't think that Karolina's kind of safe doing the top control that she used against Silvana Gomez Juarez in this fight. I don't think she's safe like against the retiring Felice Herrig. I think that Vanessa Demopoulos has some of the better power coming back that Karolina has faced recently, since a fight like, I don't know, Yan Xiaonan, where she gets like her eye completely busted, and somehow she survives the distance. I gotta say, I was pretty impressed with the toughness there to make it the distance. But I do think that Demopoulos might be the one who's a bit more opportunistic if this thing gets into the desperate grappling scenarios. I lean towards the dog in Demopoulos against all statistical relevance. I lean that way. She's shooting 5 takedowns per 15. I think she's going to be the grittier fighter here. I think Demopoulos is going to be more dangerous for a finish at any point. I think she's got more will to her game at this stand. And I think the submission could end up being something really interesting from a betting perspective. Did they give me a line on it yet? Vanessa Demopoulos by submission at plus 450. It's worth a little shot, right?
I'd say maybe grandma's couch cushion play.
Yeah, like a little quarter,
I just think that if you really feel that strongly about this fight, I got a number for you to call. 1-800-GAMBLER. Like this is just this is crazy stuff. Vanessa Demopoulos, young to us, but 34. Trying to get her honestly making those small improvements in her career. At decent camps, bouncing around, just trying to make the most of her UFC experience at this point. Has rattled off 3 wins, which is fairly impressive, seeing as how if we look at the stats in the Jin Fry fight, I don't know that she won. I mean, it's a close fight. Gets outlanded, but she controls her for a bit. I really like Demopoulos. I like her personality. And like I was saying off air, I'll say now, I feel like she's got that like Brian Battle syndrome. She's got that dog in her. Like you sometimes can't quantify. You don't see it in green and red. You can't quantify somebody's ability to overperform, an ability to win in the bright lights, to maybe have a bounce of luck, to just get it done out there. And Karolina Kovalkiewicz is somebody that has really shown just a fragility throughout her, UFC skid where she lost 5 in a row. And they kept her because it was, high competition. And it was, Jessica Andrade at her peak of 2018, Waterson Gomez, Alexa Grasso, Yan Xiaonan getting pieced up there bad. And then, the losing by round 1 submission to Jessica Penne is brutal, but at least, that's what Jessica Penne does. She'll sub you. kicking Felice Herring out of the UFC after Felice barely made it back to the scales and all that stuff. That meant nothing. She had 2 feet. She didn't have 1 foot out the door. Felice Herring had 2 feet out the door when she beat Felice Herring. And Silvana Guarez, I mean, Gomez, she doesn't even, I don't know if she even belongs here at all. And I don't think she belongs here at all. So, well, you haven't learned anything from Carolina, which again, one thing we have learned, that's not true. We have learned one thing about Carolina. She's got a new grappling game. That's what she's done. She's went out and she's improved her jiu-jitsu game. She's improved her offensive wrestling. Look what she's done. She's landed over 200 seconds of control time in her last 2 fights. That's how she's relying on herself. The high-level striker she once was,
Hold on.
is no longer. She's now an offensive wrestler.
Look at what she's done. She's the only fucking one that couldn't submit Silvana Gomez Juarez.
No, of course. I'm
done.
just saying. My point is that the way that she's won her last 2 fights and her only wins in the last 4 years are with offensive wrestling, not with her striking. And I don't know that you're going to want to offensively wrestle Vanessa Demopoulos. So, for that reason, I'm taking a dog. And why at plus 450 you can get her by sub is nuts, but she probably wins a decision. But I kind of like the sub there too. Rich, what do you think, my friend?
Yeah, just before I get into that, isn't it Jan Zonan, man? Her name keeps getting mentioned. Does anyone remember when Angela Hill almost triangled her?
Yes. Oh my god.
I can't wait until she fights Wiley. That's max bet season, man.
Yes.
Anyway,
we love Wiley out here.
Yeah. I don't like things on the Carolina side. You mentioned most of them. She was almost retiring at one point. She beats Herring, who was, like you said, 2 feet out the door. She's been grappling in her last 2 fights when she's a striker. What's that all about? I think she's had 2 layups in her last 2 fights from the UFC. A girl who was ready to retire, and the midget that is Juarez. And even that was a close fight going into the third. She had to rely on the grappling. She can't do that in this fight. DC and Cormier mentioned in her last fight that they didn't like when she was getting hit. She was stiffening up. They said it was, because of all the wars she's had in the UFC. So that's not a good sign. I don't mind Vanessa by KO. It's like plus 1,000. I think that could be sneaky. You talk about grandma's money or whatever on the couch. I think that could be one.
Grandma's couch cushion, you know what I'm saying? You dig in the couch cushion, some of the spare change that's falling out of their pants pockets from dinner, all of a sudden it's in the couch. Nobody notices the change in the couch cushions. You know what I'm talking about.
I like it, man. So yeah, I think Vanessa's the side. I don't like being on so many dogs, man, but it is what it is. She happens to be underdog, and she's the side, in my opinion. People keep saying, yeah, but she can't get this fight to the ground. It's in a small cage. It's women's MMA. It's going to get dirty. It's going to get messy. There's going to be scrambles at some point, I'm sure. I think I might take in the distance for Vanessa, just put a unit on it for the crack. But yeah, she's the side, in my opinion. Oh, and she's changed camps as well. People were saying that's a negative thing, but, she's going from Fight Ready, which is obviously a good camp. But Mark Montoya's no slouch, man. He's got good game plans. So I think she'll be ready for this one.
What do you think if I take the violent spot and parlay it to this fight going the distance? I look at their stats at 28% total finish and 38% total finish, and I'm not exactly convinced that they're either going to finish each other. Is that crazy?
I don't know. I actually fight doesn't go the distance.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah. Listen, to that point, and I'm thinking out loud.
I tell you why.
It's the fragility in Carolina.
I like Vanessa to finish if anyone's going to finish, but it is in the small cage. And if you watch Vanessa versus Oliveira, who's complete trash, the third round, man, it was getting a bit dicey. Vanessa was gassing a little bit. So, and Carolina, we've seen it in her last 2 fights. Even stupidly so, she doesn't keep the distance. She's like, right there in your face. I think she's going to push forward, which is going to allow for the takedowns. So I don't mind violence, man.
I do love violence, so fuck a decision prop.
If you want a parlay piece, Natalie Silva, she's gonna smash Leonardo to fuck.
There was one part of her game that she kind of can get controlled on the fence a little bit. We're gonna get to it. But you're right. She really should smash. She really should smash. There's one little piece.
All right. So here we go. We are on the galaxy. Orion Kosi, right? Oh god.
Yep.
I always mix him up with his brother. And then Gilbert. I mean, his nickname's crazy, right? What is it? The Rio Grande Valley gangster.
The Rio Grande Valley bad boy.
Bad boy, yeah. I mean, what the fuck, bro? Come on, Gilbert, you're killing me with your nickname. He's the Herb Urbina. But
Jesus.
in this fight, I mean, he's coming down from 185 where he was at on Ultimate Fighter. I think he's got some solid aggressiveness. He's been taking the time off to be at UFC PI, working with his team. So when you're talking about a younger fighter that kind of knows what they need to work on, I don't hate a little time off. You're going to come back and see some improvements. I think we even did see some good things against Battle before he completely gassed out after having taken that fight on, a few days notice, essentially, to save the tough finale after what Trayshawn Gore had to pull out, right? Yeah. So Gilbert Urbina actually gives Battle a run for his money. He ends up, hurting him, taking him down, ending up having Battle in a bad position on the mat. But ultimately, by the end of the first round, the gas is gone. And I lean towards Urbina being too technical from a takedown defense perspective against a guy like Kosi that's relying on body lock stuff. I think Kosi being the smaller guy here isn't going to have any favors. And I don't love his finishing abilities in the grappling department. And I didn't love his gas tank either. So I'm not necessarily worried about Urbina's gas tank up against his. So I took the bigger guy. I got him at he was still plus 110. Plenty of people got him from between plus 185 to plus 115 before I got him at plus 110. So watch it be the mush that Gilbert Urbina flips over to minus money here. But last week, Tainara Lisboa, that worked out pretty nicely for me. So why not again here? This is Lisboa.
This is Lisboa. Listen, I think that Gilbert Urbina is at, listen, look, he's younger. He's 4 inches taller. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. I honestly think he's the better grappler. And when you look at the time off, I actually think it's a good thing. Like you said, he's not sitting on the couch eating bonbons. He's been working on his craft, trying to make his real debut, his real UFC contract actually work for him. He's a young kid at 24 years old. Why do you think they haven't pushed him into a fight since the Bryan Battle fight? It's not like he took so much damage in that fight that he had to take 2 years off. No, he was 22, trying to fight, stepping up on short notice, trying to fight for a tough championship. He wants to work on his craft. 24 years old. Come fight Orion Kosi, who absorbs 10 more is getting landed on by his opponent by 9 more strikes per minute. 33% distance accuracy. Just there's nothing that is very impressive about Orion Kosi. If Blood Diamond was even a half decent fighter, he actually may have been able to finish Orion in the few times that he was completely and utterly gassed out. But yeah, he actually, Orion himself, while he's a decent wrestler, actually struggles to get back up when taken down. And I think Gilbert Urbina is going to be bigger, faster, stronger, and the better grappler. So I got, like you, plus 110. I honestly, as long as you're getting plus money, I'm interested. So let me hear Just Win Baby say that Gilbert Urbina is just gonna win, baby. Come on.
We're in agreement, man. The size should do it. Kosi shit. I like the under 2.5 for a parlay piece at minus 140. Urbina should have his way. Round 1 should sub him. I like that. If he doesn't, I'd be looking to live bet it. Maybe if that's a hedge. So I think what I'm going to do is bet Urbina to sub him in round 1. If that doesn't happen, I'll see how he is on the stool. Because of the weight cut, and Kosi for all his bad shit, he can grind, man. So I'll look to live bet it, but yeah, sub round 1 seems right to me.
So then you gotta love the under 2.5 at plus 100. Then
plus 100.
No. I think that's a TV classic right there. Because
Oh,
I got
you
a
laid
plus
them both
110 and
plus-
a plus 100.
What
the
the
fuck am I doing over there?
What are you doing?
You know,
What are you doing? I'm not looking at the lines. I'm a jerk off for trusting TB. So let me see.
there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, let me see what
It's a team.
DraftKings
It's a
says.
team effort. It's a team effort.
I don't know what there's no TB in team. Actually, there is actually. There's this team right there. Let's see. Under 2.5 is not loading because I have low T.
Minus 145. It's not bad, man. I'd still take it as a parlay piece. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like.
So
it.
maybe I should take this as my violent spot.
100%.
Violence.
I can't see this going.
Ooh,
I can't see
minus
this going away.
135.
There's
Ooh.
things we didn't even mention as well. Apparently, Kosi is injured. I've heard somebody speak about that.
He's had a lot of back issues, and he did his own therapy instead of actually going to physical therapy. And as someone that
Really
works
smart
in physical
idea.
therapy, I was like, "The fuck are you doing?"
I could go. I'm a UFC fighter. I do have access to the PI with some of the best doctors and things that they would never let me use. But I'm gonna do some of my own holistic stuff at home because I'm the Galaxy Kosi.
Yeah, he seems like a weird guy. I just get that vibe from him and his brother. So that doesn't.
I love his Dragon Ball tattoo though.
He also does the Kamehameha as he's like being introduced. I'm like, dog, you need to chill.
Well, he loves Dragon Ball Z, obviously, so he's pretty cool in that regard.
Violence. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
All right.
I like that.
Next up. Oh, we got the Toad. Oh boy, I've been so excited. All right, we got Ilir the Toad,
The sledgehammer.
aka the sledgehammer,
the sledge toad.
the sledge toad, Latifi, versus Rodrigo Nascimento. He's kind of like a hippopotamus, I'd say.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, big guy, blonde rage,
The
kind of
Brazilian
chunky, but he's got
DC.
some muscle too. Yeah, Brazil. Jesus,
The Brazilian DC.
God. Well, all right. On paper, I get it. Nascimento is like 4 inches taller, 6.5-inch reach. He's 11 years younger. He's a minus 205.
He's gonna smash
Latifi's a
him.
plus
He's
175.
He's gonna smash him to a disgusting decision.
Toad is going to hold this guy up against the fence and shoot for takedowns for dear life the entire time. And honestly, he might have some success. We haven't really seen Nascimento from a bottom position. And if Latifi could survive Olynyk in that regard, and if he could withstand Derek Lewis on the feet from a power perspective at heavyweight,
Derek Lewis didn't throw anything. No,
come on, man.
no.
Latifi's live
Derek
to make
Lewis,
it the decision. Come on.
No, he's not. No, Derek Lewis is a low volume counter striker, and so is the Toad, and that's why they fucking did nothing. Look at his pace, bro. Rodrigo Nascimento lands 8 strikes per minute at distance. He literally Leo Latifi doesn't even land 2. He doesn't do anything. He's gonna try to Toad all over him, and he's gonna make him tired. So I like the stacking here. I like the overs. I like the fight going the distance because they're sloppy heavyweights. But Rodrigo should get it done. And this is the other thing. You can't submit Ilir Latifi because you cannot submit what has no neck. It's not possible. So that is why this fight's going to go the distance.
Fair enough. I can't really argue with success. And as much as I love the Toad, I don't want to see that guy finish.
Nobody loves the Toad.
You better I love
you. This is the Hypno Toad. You love him. You love Ilir Latifi. You will bet him plus 175.
All right. Well, what do you got here, Rich?
I think it's Latifi's retirement fight, and this ain't going 3 rounds. That's the short of it.
Whoa.
I like Nascimento sub. I like him sub round 1, 1200. Sub round 2 is 1800. I'll be taking both of those.
How do you sub that has no neck? How, Sway? How?
I think he subs him purely because Latifi's just coming up here to put his gloves in the middle of the cage, get a paycheck. Per Instagram, he's not training. He's just living up the nostalgia moments, posting his debut, talking about his debut. Nascimento is absolute shit. But Latifi's got to come out, throw some bombs. Nascimento's going to, clinch him up and, maybe not get a takedown, but wrap him up in the grappling somehow. It's worth a shot at the numbers anyway. I think it's going to be a KO or sub. Sub's something stupid like plus 400. But then I've got the round props as well. I'm taking it, man.
I definitely don't hit, and I
I
guess
don't.
you
You
can
don't take
sub
my
him with
words.
like a,
Don't you steal my fucking word, you piece of shit. I don't hate it either. That's my saying. I don't hate it either. I really like Rodrigo Nascimento to get it done though.
Yeah. Sadly,
maybe
so.
him and Buckley sketchy parlay.
Yes,
Oh,
I
God.
love it.
No, all right.
There's nothing that could possibly go wrong there.
We're taking a more measured approach this week.
No,
I hope neither
definitely
of those
not.
guys is on our bed.
Definitely not.
So, anyways, we got in our next fight the player haters ball of the week. We got
What?
yeah, everyone's hating each other online.
You
about
said
this
that
fight.
as white as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. What do you expect? Come on. I'm part Hispanic in my heart. I didn't say
He's not the teenage dream anymore. He's just the dream.
Not the Chase Katy Perry Hooper.
Love it.
Versus Nick. Should I really be in the UFC Fiore? I mean, come on. What the resume? The resume. I guess shitty people get brought up to the UFC all the time these days. So maybe he is really a UFC level fighter. But then again, you could bring up the same questions about Chase Hooper overall. Don't bet this fight, people. That's actually over 1.5 at plus 115 for Nick Fiore. That's not going to knock out Chase Hooper, and neither guy's going to submit each other. I trust this shit to be a sketchy grapple fest that goes over 1.5. Let's go. Let's have a good time.
I actually think it's the other way. I think the grappling is the grappling prowesses of each other are going to negate, and they're going to spend a lot of the time striking. And I don't think that either one, like Nick Fiore likes to kick, and he's more of a counterer. And Chase Hooper, after you watch him get smashed over and over and over again by a simple left hook, those left hands over and over again from Steve Garcia was so bad. I mean, Steve Garcia can box, so I give him credit, but my goodness, was that a gigantic hole for Chase Hooper here. That, by the way, making his debut up at lightweight here, I just think this is a good move for him because he just needs to add muscle and build into his frame. Again, a young 23 years old, but Nick Fiore has really very, very little experience at all, and all of his wins have come within that first 7 minutes of a fight. And I'm not sure he's gonna be able to bring it on the feet, and I don't think you're submitting Chase Hooper. So I really do actually like that over 1.5.
One legitimate question: do you think I could win 1 out of 2 fights versus Jay Ellis if you gave me 2 tries?
No, I don't.
Come on, you don't think we even once? Damn, fuck.
No.
All right, fair enough.
Jay Ellis can fucking scrap, man. Don't talk shit about my boy.
Doug, I feel like he would be if like TB went training for a year.
No,
signed on to
you haven't trained for. Well, that was not what you said. You didn't say.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I think if I did that, I could win 2 out of 2.
Right,
I think I could at least win 1 right now.
You've got extremely low T. You have absolutely no chance.
Right,
you need to get your T levels up, sir. Yeah, listen, I really like the over 1.5 here. Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you're not wrong, gentlemen in the chat. That went away quickly. I'm not necessarily. I'm not necessarily. I know who. I'm you. I'm not necessarily convinced that Hooper's not a fraud, but there's nothing in Nick Fiore's game. I mean, he should have the better camp with New England Cartel, but there's really nothing there that I saw that makes me think that he's going to be able to. Again, 4 wins by submission. That's how he wants to do it. The other ones are ground and pound, basically. That's how he wants to get it done. So I don't really like it. I like over 1.5. I really do. Rich, tell me I'm crazy. Say I got the tinfoil on.
Yeah. So without the prop bet, who do you think wins the fight then?
I have a little half unit play on Chase Hooper plus 120. I think he pulls it out the mud because I think once the fight extends a little bit where you get out of Nick Fiore's danger realm and he's exhausted, I think Chase could be live to do basically anything at that point, whether that's cruise to decision or what did he do? He got that finish versus Felipe Corrales late. He got this finish versus Peter Barrett late. Why not maybe get a late finish, a round 3 KO prop or something fucking crazy?
Yeah, and I just looked at it. The books are sharp to it, man, because Hooper by KO is plus 500, which is what I like here. I think Hooper smashes this guy, man. I think that forget about going up to 155. Forget about the weight fucking bench press thing we've seen. I think that's all irrelevant in this fight anyway. If you look at this Pure guy, his last like 6 fights before he got to the UFC, they all finished in round 1. 2 of them were against Jay Ellis, whether you like him or not. Before that, on the amateur circuit, he was finishing early. So when this fight gets extended, Fury doesn't do well, man. And we've seen that in the Rebecca fight. I know Rebecca's a decent fighter for the UFC, but the difference in this fight is when Rebecca got tired after round 1, he was content to lay on Fury and just run the clock down and win the decision. And Fury wasn't doing anything. He wasn't showing this great jiu-jitsu. Someone said, oh, he's a Henzo Gracie black belt. It's like, so fucking what, man? Cub Swanson's a black belt. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't think he's the jiu-jitsu wizard that everyone's talking about. He went throwing up arm bars, triangles, going for leg locks, trying to roll out of them positions. This fight is going to look like the Colares versus Hooper fight, in my opinion. I think the UFC like Hooper, and they're setting him up here. They're giving him someone who isn't a hitter, like Garcia was, so he's not going to get knocked out. And I just think the pace and the pressure is going to get to Fury. It'll be competitive, maybe round 1, but I think Chase takes over and finds a finish somehow, man, whether it's sub or TKO from ground and pound.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're right. They're not necessarily giving Chase Hooper or somebody that is gonna fuck him up really badly on the feet in his debut fight at lightweight.
It's like if you're at the UFC and you're doing your matchmaking, man. You look at Fury, right? You bring him to the UFC. Let's see what this kid's got. He gets the short notice fight, and then you look at that performance and you're like, right, who can we give him? You know, who's gonna like negate them skills? So you're giving Chase Hooper, like he ain't gonna knock Chase out. It's a jiu-jitsu scramble. I think Chase has got excellent jiu-jitsu, better than this guy. So yeah, I love the finish for Chase, man.
I agree. Yo, this is crazy. Huge fight announcement. July 1st, Kevin Lee versus Renat Fakhretdinov. What the fuck? That's fucking crazy. Kevin Lee about to get grapple fucked.
Yeah.
Again. He's an idiot. That's a sick fight. I didn't even realize Kevin Lee was back with the UFC.
Yeah, Ali's Adela sleeves.
Oh my god.
All right, so let's get on to the most.
Sorry, you guys were not nearly as excited about that as I.
Nah, I mean, come on, like who the fuck?
I was just working out in my head who's gonna win, man. I was trying to think of the like.
I like Renat. Renat's a fucking
motorboat him. All right, so here we go. We got Natalia minus 900 Silva versus Victoria Fury Leonardo. I mean, Natalia rolls here. It's the Leonardo's arm probably breaks trying to block a head kick at some point. Fractured arm multiple times in the UFC, before the UFC, got knocked out in the UFC, before the UFC, head kicks. Natalia Silva, she's probably got everything she needs to make it happen. Leonardo could probably take some before she ends up getting put out, but I mean, yeah, Natalia Silva inside the distance, cut down some of that minus 900. But I can't put my hard-earned money on this fight in general. Just it feels a bit juicy,
Yeah, I mean, I really like Natalia Silva by finish as well. I really do. She should be better everywhere. Shout out Uncle Weezy. It should be the ass shaving of the week. Victoria Leonardo.
Wait, the under 2.5 is minus 135 though. So how bad could the inside the distance be? I just don't have it on DraftKings yet.
Yeah, it's not open yet, so we'll see. I mean, we should be able to hopefully find some plus money, if not like a minus 110, minus 150 type situation. But you know, her only win being against Mandy Bohm, and we all know how terrible Mandy Bohm is. You look at her losses, though, to her credit, right? I'm going to make a little case for Leonardo here, just in case she does win. Nobody's like that fucking crazy freaked out. You look at you look at Victoria Leonardo's losses. They're to Melissa Gatto, very good grappler. Manon Fiorot, title contender. Erin Blanchfield, title contender. Miranda Maverick, top 15. So you look at her losses and like they're kind of understandable. She's just not very good at all when she wins. So that's why it's not very impressive. The one thing, there's one caveat, right? And it's all over it's in my notes, right? She has trouble. Natalia Silva has trouble fighting against when she's getting pressed against the cage in the clinch. She's been held against the cage, specifically in the Marina Rodriguez fight.
Yeah, but
Leonardo, wait a minute. I'm wrapping my tip for you. Leonardo holds Mandy Bowman against the cage, so therefore, it's possible. No, it's. I really like Natalia Silva by finish.
Give me a heart attack.
I do have to say it. I have to say it has to be said, right? Gotta give the Ninja Turtle her credit here. But yeah, I mean minus 900. My God.
Yeah, I don't think she's training, man. From her Instagram, it doesn't look like it. She's had them arm injuries twice now. Still training with her old ass boyfriend, husband, whatever he is. I actually like Silva by submission. When they first opened, the submission line was like 150, and it was the KO that was higher. And now they've seemed to have switched on Bet Online at least. In fact, this is the only fight where I don't have it like readily available on like multiple books in the UK. They're just not opening it for some reason. But yeah, I like Silva by submission, and I'll be very specific and say it's going to be an armbar from bottom.
I'm going to see if BetMGM will offer me a specific armbar.
I'd bet it. If they had it, I'd bet it, man.
Yeah, I do like the submission here specifically as well. Leonardo is really tough. Though I believe the one KO, of course, is when she breaks her arm and she wants to keep fighting versus Melissa Gatto. I mean, she's tough as fucking nails.
That is a good point you made, though, about Leonardo pushing against the cage. That definitely could happen. And she is strong in the clinch. And I think she will be stronger. The only problem is, I think over the 3 rounds, there will come a time when it hit the ground. And that armbar from bottom from Silva is just too slick, man. Yeah, so I guess the sub is kind of contingent on Leonardo taking her down, because I think Silva's content to strike.
Yeah, no, she's down for a scrap, and that is what I do respect about her. So she's going to play a little bit into Natalia Silva's just overall, better technique and athletic ability, and the books see that. Yeah,
my hit rate on is 100%, man. I think I had her in a debut like 3 units in the distance when she fucking spinning back kicked that steroid head.
that was sick.
Later.
Yeah,
that was sick. All right,
lot of finishes on this pod, man. There's going to be a lot of violence, I can see.
The fight that everybody's been clamoring for.
Yeah. This is it. We made it. It's Takashi Sato versus Themba Gorimbo. Oh boy, yeah. We got the answer, Themba Gorimbo versus the submission loss threat, Takashi Sato, who against all odds survived Gunnar Nelson's repeated rear naked choke attempts. By trying not to do anything in the fight, Takashi Sato survived. Will it happen again here? Will Themba Gorimbo be successful with his takedowns? He actually looks pretty good against Fletcher landing takedowns, but he's kind of noodly and not able to hold positions against like a classically trained wrestler. Takashi Sato is not necessarily a classically trained wrestler, but if you give him the chance from distance, he will snipe your head off. So, Themba, I don't trust you on the feet here, but you can get this fight to the mat. I'm feeling pretty good about your submission chances. So, I kind of lean the Gorimbo side here. He will be the official pick. I'll look and see if the submission prop is sprinkleable, but if not, then fuck it. I'll just be getting ready to enjoy all my other bets on this card if that doesn't happen. What do you got, Guru?
I actually like them. I don't but I like Themba Gorimbo here. I like his size advantage. I like his grappling advantage. I think that he's awkward enough on the feet to make it difficult for Takashi Sato, who's just, he's just as bare bones basic as they come. He's just not very good. He's got some power that's, got him 2 wins in the UFC, knocking out Jason Witt and Ben Saunders, like 2 guys that just, Ben Saunders, that might have been his last fight of his career. He was done. And Jason Witt was his debut, and he was done before he started. So just means absolutely nothing. Themba should be a little bit tougher than that, and will be relentless in terms of trying to get a takedown. And I think he's gonna get it with fucking ease, and I think he's gonna control him on top. I was actually fairly impressed with Takashi Sato's defensive grappling or defense submission defense. So, like, and you did see versus Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson kept trying the same exact submission over and over, which was absolutely ridiculous and couldn't get it. But I was still impressed by the way that Sato defended it. And you know, you look at the other, I guess he lost by sleeper choke, which is absolutely crazy. I didn't know that. That's so weird to even see. He loses by round 3 submission to Bilal Muhammad. Bilal doesn't even wrestle. He's basically practicing his striking in that fight. And he looks good. So I don't mind Themba by sub, obviously, but I do think I kind of lean it going the distance instead. But Themba, get it done, baby. Let's go. I got him at minus 105. So something small, like a half unit. Just win, baby, for the last time. Who's gonna just win, baby?
I'm with you, man. I think Garimbo gets it done. Bilal subbing Sato is like all I needed to know, really. I know Gunnar, you know, couldn't find the submission, but like you said, he kept trying the same sub. It was predictable. Sato was content to just hold on and you know, ride out the reins. But Garimbo's a different animal, man. It's more opportunistic subs. You know, if he says something, he'll latch onto a neck or an arm. You know, he'll pull him up fast. He surprises me a lot, man. I didn't know they had such, you know, good jiu-jitsu in Zimbabwe or wherever he's from. But I think he's a really good BJJ player, man. I wouldn't play the submission, though. I play in the distance. Just because I think there's something funky is going to happen in this fight, man. I don't know. I think he could easily KO Sato on the feet. I don't know. I've heard from people that Sato is injured as well. Apparently, he started wearing a knee brace or something. So maybe there's something going on there. I've only heard that recently. I haven't checked it out myself. So that might be a thing. But you can get in the distance at plus 240, which isn't bad. And it's not far off the submission line. So, yeah, I'll be looking at violence again, man. I'll be looking at round 1 props as well.
Wow.
When I initially looked at the fight, I don't like Garimbo from his last fight. So when I first looked at it, I was like, well, I know Garimbo's going to take him down for sure in round 1. I'm certain of that. My only problem is what happens in round 2. But then since looking into it and seeing, like, you know, the Bilal situation and the rest of it, I think once he gets him down, it's a wrap, man. I don't think Sato's going to offer much. And like I say, unlike Gunnar, I think his subs are more opportunistic, man. And he's going to hunt for him more than... It's like Gunnar was more position over submission, and Garimbo isn't that safe, man. He goes for it. And I think that's going to force it. So I like the unders in this fight. Under 2.5, like minus 150. That looks good.
Interesting.
Shit like that.
Yeah, I like you pushing the envelope, man. Similarly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I just obviously maybe it's just that Julio Rodriguez fight on Fury FC there that kind of sticks out in my mind of it going the decision. But you know, he certainly has more finishes with especially by submission than not. And Sato's going to give him those opportunities.
Yeah, it's also set up by the UFC, isn't it? You know, Sato's getting subbed by Bilal, and now they give him a guy who's literally, like you said, he just hunts for the sub. It's like they're giving him every opportunity to win this fight, man. And I've seen from tape, I'm like 99% certain he gets that takedown straight away. He's too big, too powerful. He gets that takedown in round 1, man. So round 1 sub, what's that, man? Let's have a look on Thingy, see what that is.
Yeah, I don't have it yet on DraftKings. They don't even give me the sub prop yet. I'm hoping generally by tomorrow they'll have all the props posted. But what do you got offshore there?
Garimbo sub round 1 is 700. And then what's round 2? Round two.
FanDuel hopefully eventually when they do get their lines out, they'll eventually offer the submission round 1 or 2 choice. So you probably get that at like plus 400, plus 5, you know, something nice and tasty.
Yeah, that'd be nice. 900 for round 2. So I'm sure once the books open, that'd be similar. But I love the round 1 finish from him, man.
All right. Thank you,
and
guys. Amazing.
sorry, just to add, they
Mhm.
always
please.
do that as well. The curtain jerker for every card. It's usually a finish. They want to open the night up.
That's one of my original thoughts. As we love fading the narrative, that's one of my thoughts that they like to start the card with with something electric.
It's true, man. That. Did you see the interview with Dana and that journalist, Aaron? I can't pronounce his last name.
Aaron Bronstetter?
Yeah. They were talking about positioning on the card, ESPN and ABC being to highlight people. And then after the card last week, Dana even comes out and says it. Basically, he says the words verbatim. We give those guys a T-ball, a softball to like knock out the park. Talking about Gary and I can't remember the other youngsters who won. But yeah, whenever there's an ABC card, ESPN card, it's to highlight up and comers who they want to. Yeah.
I like it. Listen, they've tried to highlight plenty of people in the past, and it hasn't worked out. But I think there's a few spots on the card where it certainly should.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Appreciate all you guys. First and foremost, Rich at Just Win Baby.
Dude,
really appreciate you taking the time to
fit right
join us,
in, my man. You really fit right in. I really
great
appreciate
show,
you
man.
being here.
No problem. Great show.
Yeah,
love it.
Had a great time, and make sure you guys just do us a favor: throw a little like on the video, subscribe, share it with your friends. We have a great time. Look, you can laugh at TB laughing at himself the whole time. Okay, so
we do have a great
you guys
time.
Enjoyed. Rich,
Listen,
any closing thoughts before Guru closes us out here?
Yeah, if you want to win money, bet on Emily Ducote this week.
That's good.
Love it. We love to win money. Guys, seriously, thank you all so much for being here. Huge thank you to our guest at Just Win Baby. Go check out his Patreon if you'd like. Rich, dude, thank you so much for being here. Really, and just awesome time that we had here. Make sure you check us out. My amazing co-host, TB Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. Me, the Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram, and Tapology. The real Guru, not that other one. No problem with the Brits, but you know, come on. You got the real
I watch
Guru
him
right
sometimes,
here, baby.
man. He's a funny guy, man.
He's all right.
He's a trip.
That's a great way to put it. He's a trip. Yeah. Guys, listen, thank you so much for being here again. No UFC next week. Very sad, very sad. We're back in 2 weeks with Kai Kara France versus Amir Albazi in the Apex. Can't wait for that one. It's our last week off until freaking August, guys. So buckle in. Take care, and we'll see you then.